If you ever go to restaurants like McDonald's, Taco Bell, Wendy's, Burger King, In-N-Out, you are about to be affected by a new issue. This new issue is actually going to increase prices for you. It's going to cost you more money in order to buy a burger or some fries or even a chocolate shake. Everything's going to cost more expensive very soon, and I will explain why this is and what's changing in just the next few days. So I'm going to break that down in just a moment. I'm also going to talk about what we are now hearing from many restaurants, how the lower income households are not going to these restaurants as much anymore, and there's a new crisis on our hands that could actually mean a shortage of beef and also milk. So I'm going to break all that down in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So first off, in the state of California, there is a new problem that is emerging. And that is that the California law is going to go into effect, which means a $20 minimum wage. So it says California food chains are laying off workers ahead of a new minimum wage law. It says the new $20 minimum wage law applies to chains with 60 or more locations and will go into effect on April 1st. That is just a few days away. That is the first domino that is going to fall. Now, here's the next one. We are seeing people lose their jobs, okay? The concern, though, is that, yes, they are going to lose their jobs, but at the same time, in order to keep revenue where it's at, we are going to have to raise prices. I want to show you something. Look at this. It says fast food workers are losing their jobs in California as new minimum wage law takes effect. It says among the chains announcing cuts ahead of a $4 increase to the minimum wage in California are Pizza Hut and Round Table Pizza. The state's minimum wage will rise to $20 on April 1st. Here's what you need to keep in mind. Yes, the state's minimum wage is going to increase for any chain that has more than 60 locations. Well, the issue that we're going to face, and this is something we're going to see all across the board with a lot of these pizza chains, it's going to take longer for you to get your pizza. It's going to cost more money for you to get your pizza. We're going to see less people working, which means, and according to reports, they say McDonald's, Wendy's, White Castle, Burger King, KFC, and many other fast food chains will look forever different. They say locations will close, you will see longer lines, you're about to see workers getting paid more for their services, which means your order is going to cost more. But with all that said, here's the problem. Fast food companies are already seeing low-income diners pare their orders. They are actually having to scale back. And in some cases, and I've talked to a handful of people just recently about this, they have larger families. And instead of going and buying every single person a meal at McDonald's, what many of them are doing is they're getting like the buy one at regular price, get like a McDouble for $1 or whatever it is. Right? That's what they're doing. They're getting like a large meal, plus they're getting a couple other burgers. And so they get one meal and they'll make it like a large. Let's say they get a number one, right? They get a number one, which is in most cases, it's a Big Mac meal. They get it large with, let's say, a Sprite or something like that. Then they go and they take that Sprite and they divide it by three different cups for 3 people. One person gets the Big Mac, and then the other 2 will get like the McDouble or McChicken or whatever the other sandwiches are for the buy one, get one for $1. And then they all divide up the fries. So instead of getting 3 meals, which will likely cost you $35 to $40, they're gonna get one main meal, 2 other burgers, and they're gonna split it. That's what's happening. And guess what? As prices increase to all these different restaurants in California, well, prices are going to go up for you if you're buying. Now, here's the issue. This is not just going to impact California. It's starting in California, but every single time California does something what happens is other states then get to see whether it works or not. And if it works, get ready for Oregon, for Washington, maybe Arizona, New York, right? Other states are going to follow suit right behind California. So if this works and this is effective, California is going to be the first state to do this. Other states will follow right behind. Now, I said we have a fast food crisis, and we do. And it actually has to do with cattle. I want to show you this. It says, in world first, dairy cows in Texas and Kansas test positive for the H5N1 bird flu. This is a massive issue. It says unpasteurized milk samples and throat and nose swabs from cows on U.S. dairy farms have tested positive for bird flu, making the second known cases in ruminants in the U.S. Now, we saw this before where we were seeing poultry. They had to get cold because we couldn't do anything with them. They tested positive for bird flu, so we killed them off. There were millions of poultry that were killed off over the past few years. Millions. This was a huge, huge red flag because this then caused a supply chain issue. We didn't have enough poultry. Turkeys were more expensive. Chicken, very expensive. Remember eggs? Eggs shot up, I believe, over 300%. Eggs. You want a carton of eggs? Well, they weren't 99 cents anymore. You were having to pay $3, $4, $5 for a dozen eggs. Yeah. And here's what some are expecting. We are going to see prices for dairy and for meat. It is going to get more expensive. So if you want beef, guess what? You're going to have to pay more. You will have to pay more because we are going to see a shortage of beef cattle. Now, what does this mean for restaurants? Well, if your restaurant uses beef, let's say McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, right? The list can go on, but if your restaurant of choice uses any type of beef or any type of milk, it's going to get more expensive. Now, here's what I can tell you. This is a crisis we're going to face all across the United States. Just because there were positive cases in Texas and in Kansas does not mean that's where it stops. According to reports, they say that this is just a couple weeks after we saw goats actually test positive as well. So this is starting to spread, and according to many, they say that this is because of wild birds. Well, wild birds are not contained to a specific area. They're wild. They will fly anywhere that they can. So the expectation is we are about to see a supply chain crunch when it comes to any type of beef or dairy. So just be prepared for that. That is going to just make this fast food issue even worse. But again, that's not your only option. You can always cook at home. You can always eat somewhere else. But as of right now, if you love going to fast food restaurants, well, get ready to pay more because that's what we're going to face. So that's where we're at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise, I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.